Dr. Joe, How Sara Josephine Baker Saved the Lives of America's Children, written by Monica Kulling, illustrated by Juliana Swanee. People called Sara Josephine Baker a tomboy. Jo did things that the quiet and polite girls of her day did not do. She played baseball. She climbed trees. She was strong and adventurous. Jo was born in 1873 in Poughkeepsie, New York, a city on the banks of the Hudson River. She and her younger brother, Robbie, fished the river in summer and skated on it in winter. The river was also a source of drinking water. But one year, when Jo was 16, tragedy struck. A hospital dumped its sewage in the river, which caused a typhoid fever epidemic. Jo was heartbroken when Robbie died from typhoid. 3 months later, Jo's father died from the same disease. Jo had wanted to be a doctor ever since she was 10 years old, when a kind physician and his son, also a doctor, had taken care of her injured knee. The deaths of her father and brother renewed that dream. In Jo's day, most people thought that studying medicine was not for women. "It's too grisly," said some. "It's too gruesome," said others. But a few women doctors were proving that this thinking was simple prejudice. In 1868, 2 doctors who were sisters, Emily and Elizabeth Blackwell, had founded the Women's Medical College of the New York Infirmary. After high school, Jo applied to their school and was accepted. She boarded a train bound for New York City. When Jo graduated in 1898, she and her friend Florence, who was also a doctor, set up a private practice together. They hung out a sign and proudly let people know they were open for business. Lillian Russell, a famous actress, was one of Dr. Jo's patients. She told her friends about the wonderful care she was getting from Dr. Baker. Even with this help, Dr. Jo did not have enough patients to keep her in business. So, in 1901, she became a health inspector for the city of New York. Dr. Jo was sent to a tough West Side neighborhood called Hell's Kitchen. Here, thousands of people, many of them immigrants, lived in run-down apartments. Diseases such as smallpox and typhoid fever spread like wildfire, especially among the young. Dr. Jo was saddened to think of the many children who died there every week. She was determined to help. Each morning, Dr. Jo put on her sturdy walking shoes, picked up her medical bag, and headed for Hell's Kitchen. She was making her way to work one morning when a frantic man stopped her. "Please, come quick," he said. "My baby is dying." Dr. Jo entered a gloomy room. When she saw 3 hungry children staring at her, she brought out her lunch. She split a hunk of cornbread into 3 parts. The screaming baby was tightly wrapped in a blanket. Many mothers believed that this practice, called swaddling, kept newborns quiet. But summer's severe heat could be deadly. As Dr. Jo unwound the blanket, she said, "This is not good." And it wasn't. This baby, like many others, would die of heat stroke. In the same building, Dr. Jo examined another baby with eye problems. The retinoscope shone a light into the retina, or back of the eye, to see if the eye was working. "I'm so sorry," said Dr. Joe sadly. Silver nitrate drops used to clean bacteria from a newborn's eyes had instead made this baby blind. Dr. Joe shared the stories of her day with Dr. Florence. While her friend listened, Joe ticked off the things every newborn needed. The eye drops must be an exact measure. Too often the solution evaporates or the glass container is dirty. The result? Damaged eyes. Newborns also need clothes that let them move. They need fresh air and clean milk. Children need a safe place to play, not streets that are filled with garbage and manure. In short, Hell's Kitchen has earned its name. Jo did her best thinking while walking. On a rare day off, she walked to the bottom of Manhattan Island. She looked out at the statue that welcomed newcomers from other countries. Jo was seeing firsthand how grateful immigrants were to live in America, but also how hard that new life could be if you were poor. Dr. Jo desperately wanted to help, and she had a few ideas. She began by looking at the practice of home births, which were common among immigrant women. Midwives helped with the birthing process, but many of these women did not know what to do if something went wrong. Dr. Jo made it a requirement for midwives to take courses to earn a license. She sent nurses to help new mothers in their first days at home with their babies. Dr. Jo also organized milk stations in storefronts throughout the city so that mothers could get clean, healthy milk for their children. Then Jo put her mind to the problem of the flawed eye drop containers. One day, while sitting in Bowling Green Park, she watched bees at work. Jo knew that beeswax was antibacterial, antifungal, antiseptic, and even antiviral. It was everything the doctor ordered. Beeswax made the perfect eye drop container. The midwife could be confident that the drops were clean and perfectly measured, and mothers could rest easy too. Dr. Jo tackled another problem, swaddling, by designing her own infant wear. Her sleeper opened down the front. It made changing diapers easier and allowed for movement and better temperature control. A pattern company bought Dr. Jo's sleeper and mass-produced it. Soon, mothers were making safer baby clothes. Dr. Jo understood the connection between poverty and illness. Throughout her life, she worked tirelessly to improve the health of women and their children in New York and other big cities. By the end of her career, Dr. Sara Josephine Baker had saved the lives of 90,000 inner-city children across America. People were always happy to see Dr. Jo coming their way.